and welcome back to Overthinking Out Loud, where we dive into the psychology behind everything Gen Z does, thinks, and feels. If you listened to Episode 1, you know we're all about understanding the why behind our behaviors, not just accepting them at face value. Today we're talking about something you probably did at least 3 times before clicking on this video: communicate through memes. And I don't just mean sending funny pictures to your friends. I'm talking about how memes have literally become their own language, complete with grammar, cultural references, and social rules that would make a linguistics professor's head spin. So last week, my mom asked me to explain why I sent her a picture of a crying cat with the words "me" when I have to adult. She was genuinely confused, like, "Lena, why didn't you just say you were stressed about responsibilities?" And I realized I had unconsciously chosen a meme because it communicated something text couldn't. The emotional nuance, the shared cultural understanding, the humor that makes heavy feelings lighter. That got me thinking, when did we start speaking in memes? And more importantly, why do they work so well that we've basically created an entire parallel language system? Because that's what we've done. We've created a language where a simple, "This is fine dog sitting in a burning room" communicates complex feelings about denial, acceptance, and coping mechanisms. Where Ohio means something is surreal or weird. Where the crying laughing emoji somehow conveys 17 different emotions depending on context. Here's what's fascinating from a psychological perspective. Memes function exactly like language does in our brains. They have syntax, semantics, and pragmatics. Let me break that down. Syntax is the structure, how memes are put together. Think about the Drake pointing format. We all know the top panel is the thing we're rejecting. Bottom panel is what we prefer. That's grammatical structure, just visual instead of verbal. Semantics is meaning, and this is where memes get really complex. A single meme template can carry dozens of different meanings depending on what you put in it. The distracted boyfriend meme can represent anything from choosing between Netflix shows to complex political commentary. Pragmatics is context, how meaning changes based on situation. The same fine meme hits different when you're texting your best friend versus posting on your close friend's story versus commenting on someone's breakdown post. But here's the really cool part. Memes tap into something called cognitive fluency. Our brains are wired to recognize patterns and shortcuts. When you see a familiar meme format, your brain instantly knows how to decode it. It's like having a shared cultural shorthand that makes communication faster and more efficient. And there's something called Memetic Transmission, which is literally how ideas spread through cultures. Memes aren't just funny pictures. They're vehicles for complex ideas, emotions, and social commentary. They're how we process collective experiences. Think about how we used memes to cope with the pandemic. "This is fine" became a way to express collective anxiety. "We're all in this together" became ironic commentary on inequality. Memes became our emotional vocabulary for unprecedented times. But memes aren't just individual communication, they're social bonding mechanisms. When someone gets your meme reference, it signals shared cultural knowledge. It's like having a secret handshake, but for your entire generation. This is called in-group signaling in psychology. Memes create communities. When you understand a hyper-specific meme about your major, your mental health struggles, or your particular corner of the internet, you're finding your people. And here's something I find really interesting. Memes have become our primary form of emotional regulation. Instead of saying, "I'm anxious about the future," we send the "guess I'll die" meme. Instead of, "I'm overwhelmed by choices," we use the 2 buttons meme. This isn't just laziness or inability to express ourselves. It's actually a sophisticated coping mechanism. Humor helps us process difficult emotions. Shared references make us feel less alone. And the visual nature of memes can sometimes capture complex feelings that words struggle with. But I want to talk about something that's been bothering me: the speed at which meme language evolves. New formats emerge and die within weeks. New slang becomes outdated before you can learn it. And I think this is creating some interesting psychological effects. Because here's the thing. When your primary emotional vocabulary is memes, what happens to your ability to articulate complex feelings in other contexts? I've noticed myself struggling to explain emotions to people who don't speak meme. Like, trying to tell my therapist why I'm feeling big yikes energy without just showing her the meme. There's also something called context collapse happening. When the same meme format is used for everything from jokes to trauma processing to political commentary, the lines between humor and serious communication get blurred. And sometimes that's not healthy. I've seen people use memes to minimize their own pain. Me having a breakdown with a funny image attached. Sometimes humor helps us cope, but sometimes it stops us from actually processing difficult emotions. And let's be real about the exclusivity issue. Meme culture can be incredibly exclusionary. If you don't get the references, if you're not chronically online enough to keep up, if you're from a different cultural background, you're left out of entire conversations. Plus, the constant evolution creates this weird pressure to stay current. Miss a few weeks of internet culture and suddenly you're lost in conversations. That's actually creating social anxiety for some people. But I don't want to be all doom and gloom because memes have done some genuinely amazing things for communication. They've democratized humor and commentary. Anyone can create a meme that goes viral and influences cultural conversations. They've given voice to experiences that traditional media often ignores. Memes have also become a form of social activism. Think about how OK Boomer became a way to dismiss outdated thinking. How specific memes call out toxic behaviors or highlight social issues. They're tools for cultural change. And honestly, they've made us more emotionally intelligent in some ways. We're constantly analyzing context, tone, and subtext in memes. We're learning to communicate complex ideas through visual metaphors. These are actually sophisticated communication skills. The multi-layered nature of memes is training us to think in multiple dimensions. Literal meaning, ironic meaning, cultural context, emotional subtext. That's pretty impressive cognitive work. Looking forward, I think we're going to see memes continue evolving as a legitimate form of communication. We're already seeing meme literacy becoming important in marketing, education, and even therapy. Some therapists are literally using memes to help clients express emotions. So what do we do with all this? Here are my thoughts. First, be intentional about your meme usage. Ask yourself, am I using this meme to genuinely communicate something? Or am I using it to avoid dealing with difficult emotions? Second, practice translating your meme thoughts into other forms of communication. If you can only express a feeling through a meme, challenge yourself to also put it into words. Both skills are valuable. Third, be aware of the exclusivity factor. If you're having a conversation where not everyone speaks meme, make sure you're not leaving people out. And finally, appreciate what we've built here. We've created a form of communication that's visual, emotional, cultural, and constantly evolving. That's actually pretty incredible. The fact that we can look at a picture of a dog in a burning room and instantly understand layers of meaning about human psychology, coping mechanisms, and social commentary, that's not dumbing down communication. That's creating new dimensions of it. So next time someone tells you memes aren't real communication, you can tell them they're literally a new form of language with its own grammar, vocabulary, and cultural significance. We're living through a linguistic evolution, and we're all part of creating it. What's your take? Do you think memes have made us better or worse communicators? Drop a comment and let me know, preferably in both meme form and words, because I want to see how you navigate between both languages. If this made you think about your own communication patterns, hit subscribe. Next week, we're diving into the psychology of parasocial relationships, or as I like to call it, why we're emotionally invested in people who don't know we exist. Thanks for overthinking with me. See you next time.